Alright, so I was watching this guy named LanceHedrick. There's this dude. He's cool. Does a lot of coffee stuff. I love his videos. Anyways, he was doing this about 5 months ago because, YouTube loves to recommend me random shit that's old. For the momentum hand grinder. I'm like, that reminds me of a freaking design I came up with in the past. And it was like that very axle thing that he talked about briefly, that he had some concerns over, literally was the reason why I created in my espresso intense processing stuff that was vastly different. Because I was like, this is basically what I want to do. But it sucks because unless I put a support there, which then means I have to thread an axle through a freaking support thing, which of course means tolerances aren't going to hit the right freaking amount of like proper grip, meaning no movement at all. And so it just bothered me. So I went with a singular design that is three, technically, gears, which aren't really gears. So anyone that wants to understand this, it's like they're drum grinders, with one of them being able to split out into two along the sides. Alright, so the first one is a breaker. Okay, you have to understand why it's a breaker. The first one simply just drops big chunks in the center. Now, the center has a drum that splits into two that is going to grind it against the two at the top and then the sides, respectively, for the inside of the grinder. Now, how does that work? It's pretty simple for me. They counter rotate. As usual, they're always counter rotating, and if you have a single knob on the gear, and the breaker is always a breaker, so it doesn't really matter. It's a breaking of the beans. Then that's all you're going to do. Okay? But then now I have three different spots, technically, of actual grinding. I have the first break, the in between the top and the bottom, which isn't technically a single, but it is really actually a single. I just move a gear and it shifts them a little up and a little out. Just like bras that try to lift and separate. Well, kind of similar. You spin a gear, it lifts and separates. Pretty simple stuff. And then it will go off onto the sides. Now, see those sides? Those are statically fixed stainless steel with some supportive structures around them to basically be really, really, really stiff and not want to move at all, practically. But with this wonderful, I love this ceramic. I found this ceramic for mariners' boats, something like that. Anyways, point is, it's a ceramic that is hydrophobic, lipid-phobic, insulative, and anti-static. And it's like, wow, why don't they use this? Turns out if you put like anything inside of it that's like supposed to conduct electricity, it grounds it out, but doesn't allow electricity to flow through it, which is just stupid. It's insulative as long as it's on this one side and it has this other thing over there. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, no. It's insulative. It is. It's anti-static, really. But it's like, anti-static means... Anyways, point is, it also removes heat, and then there's all the rest of it, which is perfect for coffee. It's exactly what you want for coffee. You know what I mean? And it's like, right, what are they using for boats? Apparently, super fast, speed, boaty, hydrofoil stuff. It's like really, really good for that, and it's very good at handling salt water and stuff. And they use like this plasticizer or something, and then they lay it on there, and it hardens, and because it interacts with oxygen in the air, it creates a nanoscopic whatever coating thing, so like you're able to like reform it, but then it's just annoying to have to do it. Anyways, the point is, I'm rambling on. It's one singular, technically, drum that I then lift and separate in two pieces. So it splits in the middle, and then it goes off up and out. And now the ones are fixed at the top, but because it lifts and separates evenly in a beautiful, symmetrical butterfly almost like design, it then means I can become someone that has a very tight tolerance here. Because as it goes and drops in the center, it goes and spreads out along the sides of the bottom grinder, and then grinds again at the bottom side of those grinders, which then squeeze it off to the sides, which is its final grind, which now only needs it to be whatever size you're looking for. And so a really rather cheap electric motor will do the job pretty darn well for it, especially since it's hydrophobic. And it's very hard ceramic. It's like, it does wear away eventually, but like, you know, so does stainless steel, so I don't really see what the point is, or carbon steel, or any of that steel, really. But there you go. That's the whole point of like my original coffee grinder design, because it's like I had a design that's basically that, except with flat burr sets at the end. I was like, a conical burr, which, regular conical, but now we're doing egg shape, with basically a singular point that is a bunch of breakers that go off into like the small breaks. Like the kind of rough, sort of like very, very coarsely ground, grind that then goes into a flat bottom, which dumps into the center. And then just like LanceHedrick was doing with his amazing, I love the sarcastic video he did recently with this stone grinder that was hilarious. I loved it. But at the same time, it was like, that means I can have a single straight axle because it's a flat bottom that goes into a flat inside, which then just means I just need a funnel to the flat, which would be fine to have an axle to go through that can then be attached to the, a standard flat long version of whatever those grinders are, and then that drops off into, well, what do you know, and I could just place a cone there, or just any collector cup, and it'll be fine. And like, that's basically all I was like looking for. All I really did with it was like, there's this stuff called like air pumps on shoes and pneumatic springs, and I'm like, there's a way to do that with like a plunger system where the axle is, where it like basically uses seals around the axle to create what is essentially a version of a spring that allows for it to, not move as much, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, my time wear grinder I'm using has a spring in it for tension, on it. And I'm like, yeah, but I was going to use the flat part as a tensioner, which is just a gear, worm gear or some other gear that gives me an incredibly precise degree of level of total movement. So like, it cannot be any more than that actual gear, amount, instead of micron increments, ting 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 ting. You know what I mean? Which is like, that's, really kind of lame. I like, the Time War has these little indents on the flat plate that I've had to drill in between and do all this other washer stuff to increase the spring tension. And then I ended up doing this other thing where I was like, there's still wiggle at the top of this, so I put like a little bit of tape at the top of the Time War axle, and so it like situated itself inside of that way better, and now I get far more consistent grind. And so it's like, absolutely, those mods worth it in every way. I got a half step, I've got like way better consistency in all aspects, definitely better. But that singular two step grinding system was good enough because it's breaking and then it kind of gets it close enough to like, well, you could probably use it for French press, and then it's like now it's espresso to like pour over, easy, no problems. You know what I mean? And then it's like, right, but if you use the rollers, it's like, why wouldn't you use the rollers? And it's like, that's the thing I talked about. It's like, if I want to sell this thing, this is easy. I can make a steel drum and put some fucking ceramic on it. That's easy. Boom, boom, boom. No problemo. That's easy as all can be. Like I have to super precisely mill like a teardrop shape. That's stupid. Nah. A circle with ceramic on it. A drum, a cylinder with ceramic. This is the easiest thing. And we already have gears that literally spin and then open and lift and separate. We already got that. This is boom, 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 easy manufacture, nothing to it at all. And anyway, then it's like, basically I just added another set of 2 at the bottom for like the super upgraded version. Or it's like, you know what, I'm just going to make it like kind of more of a breaker, but then like I really want to really heavily make it that close, of a consistent grind. But then it was like, but wait, there's more. Now there's this thing called a centrifugal or centripetal, I believe it's centrifugal because it's spin, filter, which is a cone that I blow a little small amount of air through that basically sifts all of these heavy ass particles to the outside because they're bigger, and then I get these small fine ones that drop towards the center into the cup, the collection cup that you want, which now also happens to have done the whole anti-static free, thing that is necessary for you to get good solid performance out of your espresso makers or pour overs or any of it, because it declumps the shit out of it. So there you go.